YouTube little clip. So I just had to show this, but 4.5 years later, I've got the setup. The cords go around the back, comes over. I got the airbrush holder with the Iwata on it, and we even got a car in there that I've been letting. So yeah. Alright, enough of that. On to the rest of the layout update. Alright guys, so on with the layout update. This one is going to be for September of 2021. And we're just going to start back in the corner here and kind of work our way kind of clockwise around the layout. So one of the things you'll notice, well, you won't see it as apparent, but I have started putting in some of the feeders for in here. I still got a couple pairs to tie in like that and a little bit of wiring to do, but I have test run up and down the ladder and it does run pretty good. All the turnouts already worked. I already had Tauruses on them. I just need to go in and do up the frog contacts for that. So I've done that, started working on this. I put a couple pieces of cork to kind of raise this up, so I need to go through and sand all that and then get that track put back, feeders put back in the hole, and kind of trim that piece to sit like that. Went ahead and got these repositioned as per the new arrangement. So basically now what we've got is this going to show up? Yeah, okay, it was going to show up. Try and get this to where it will. But the Pico, the 24-28, and then the 2024, and that gives the 28 to the switch lead up the back, and this is your caboose track. So done that, got the lines all marked, and then the other really big thing as far as track is, as you can see, all the way through here, through one of the two fast track turnouts that Sandy gave me, I gotta put a couple of replacement ties. Across that joint, all the way over here, around the peninsula, the track, and then I got clear around to there with the cork, and then that's where that one's gonna go. This one needs a little more work. Stared down at just right. Probably can't see it on camera, but you eyeball it, there's a little bit of waviness in our stock rails, and like that group of ties kind of needs to be realigned and whatnot. So pretty much halted the track there. I am slowly putting feeders on it. The darker stuff like this was reused. I reused what I could where I could. Then like here, this is new. So I did get, like I said, I got a couple feeders put on. I got the holes drilled, I haven't put them on yet. I just started picking back up the wiring here, and I'm just going to work it around. So I have been doing that. The other thing we did tonight, because this is actually a work night, I ended up doing some construction stuff today, so we didn't get in here nearly when I wanted to, so we didn't get too much done. But Will's editing video, I'm filming this, and we did work on an engine, which I'll show you in a minute. But I got this cut to height a couple weeks back, and we got it put up here. It's just test clamped in. I think I'm gonna have to go back and do a little more adjusting with the plywood, because yeah, okay, you can't see it, but there is a little bit of a gap in there that I gotta figure out how to fix. So I'm probably gonna have to take this, because it starts about there and goes clear to about right there. So, which is fine. I might just leave that hardboard and use it as kind of a gauge. So this plywood, I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna go in and get all this kind of shimmed up, because technically, can I disguise up buildings and stuff? Okay, yeah, I can. But I think it's going to be one of those things that's just going to bug me if I don't do it. I think it's going to be one of those things, the longer it sits, the nuttier it's going to dry, the more it's going to bug me, so I'm going to do it. So that's that. The thing on the other side of the peninsula I'll show you, and then we'll move on to one of the locomotives we've been working on, is I got the valence in for this side. So yes, it does kind of bow out way down there. Yes, it's a little funky looking. It's really apparent when you like stand at the end and look down. But it is what it is. Contrary to the gap, the areas here are actually flush. There's just spots like up top where I gotta come in and file it, and then eventually this is gonna get taped and mudded and sanded and everything, so you won't see it. So that whole thing will be fixed. But did that. Need to do the backdrop for this side, but I need to get a sheet first. That'll probably wait a little bit because I'm gonna have enough here in a couple days to get the rest of the lights like that to finish off around the corner and up this wall. And then I'm going to order the red, green, blue LED light strips, the buck converters for a little bit of voltage drop, and the power supply, and all that stuff is for the Arduino for the to do the day to night and night to day transition lighting. The CC++ program the cycle and everything. I ain't doing that. That's kind of over my head. I got Will and Alex for that. So that's pretty much what's going on with the physical layout. You saw that intro clip I wanted to throw in there, as well as the outro clip. So that's what's going on with all that stuff. Or you will see the outro clip. The other thing we did tonight, and I'll put this in here, is worked on Will's 060. So this is actually an old IHC. We started converting it, and it looked like it was wired up perfectly like normal. So you had the wire coming off the pad there, then coming up to the one terminal, and etc., and the wire from the tender from there coming up onto that, and so on and so forth. So I was like, yeah, gee, this ought to be real simple. Just swap the wires out. I followed the steps off of the TCS website, even though we're putting a DH160 in there. It kind of worked, and Will and I have tested this thing with the multimeter every 6 ways till Sunday. I don't know what the heck was going on where the guy just modded how the thing picked up. If a previous owner did something to it, I don't know what, because we couldn't find the current path. So after trying to find it twice and spending a couple hours each time, it was like, forget it, this ain't worth it. So what we're going to do is, you can see we cut some length of PCB ties. We glued it on there tonight. So that's why Will's in there editing video right now, because we're letting this dry. But we'll do that, and then I'm just going to get some phosphor bronze wire. We'll actually make, so actually, rub against the back of the wheel for our pickup. And then obviously we'll just take that off of that and somehow bring the wires up top and tie them into the black and red. So that's what's going on with that. Don't quite yet know how I'm gonna run the wires up. We'll figure something out. So anyways, that's that's a fun little project. But what if that hiccup, I would have had this all wired up in one night. So go figure. So we did that. The other thing with locomotives, I'll show you guys real quick. Actually, let's make a little detour here. So I got my airbrush out after 4.5 years of not having a place to set it up. And the first thing I've weathered with it was, Ben came over, gave me a refresher, but the first thing I weathered with it was this. And that's showing up pretty well. Except for the grime on my hands, I was shoveling trenches for sprinklers today. But I put the grime on the bottom. So the rest of the weathering on here, I don't know how well the ink wash and all the graying is going to show up. Yeah, that kind of shows up. Yeah, you can see the ground there. But I put the brown on it. Yeah, you can really see it there. So I'm impressed how it came out. I remembered how to do it because Ben brought his airbrush up to Nolan's and we weathered a bunch of the track. So I actually had it down fairly hat. I just need a refresher on how to do the thinning and everything. So that's what's going on there. And then this is just the air side. So the track is going to come through about there and then it'll curve and meet up with the red center line. Not the black. Which, okay, yes, fine. I should have let that notch in, but whatever. You know, that's good enough. So next time though, we're going to try and get that piece of hardboard cut so we can actually get it mounted. And then sometime when I get a chance, we'll get the other strip of hardboard and I get it mounted on this side. But there are two things we've done with locomotives is I actually did 2 more installs. This is a Soundtrax EMD2, I think. 2200, obviously, so it's the hardwire version. But this is an SD35 Mahano that we stripped the shell and repainted. We went ahead and re-lubed it and everything, and while we were at it, it was like, gee, we already got the thing apart. Might as well put the chip in it, you know. So that's what we did. Everything's running good. The truck does not want to cooperate, so I've got to get that kind of thing put back together and probably just have to glue the cover on. But these have been test run and they've been relubricated with a combination of Labelle gear oil and the grease hobby lube PTFE with grease or grease with PTFE, whatever that Teflon grease, whatever that stuff's called, the white tube mixture of that oil and grease. And then this is a Kato GP7 I got off Kenny. The shell for that is sitting. I really should have organized this stuff better. So making nauseous while we're at it. Shell for that is sitting there. You see I pulled the light tubes out. I got all the parts in a tray. But that's because I'm going to trim them down and put them back in. And then try and cut them up so I can have the number boards, the markers separate, and have the number boards and the headlight come on at the same time. The only reason it's off is because I'm going to get rid of that Chevron, Rio Grande, and re-decal for the Hawking. I was actually going to try and strip the frame too, but then I realized I'd have to take the motor and the trucks and everything else out, and I'm like, nah, we ain't doing that. So now the Hawking's switcher paint job is officially an orange stripe on it. Go figure. So that's what's going on with that. Sorry, I had to dip out and take care of something. And the other reason is whatever the paint Kato used, they did an extremely good job with it. I don't think this is factory paint. I think this is a repaint because the decals weren't put on that good. It's probably not factory applied, but just for the sake of easiness, yeah. And I actually was not planning on putting a chip in this thing this soon. I'd actually ordered 2 of those in EMD 567 for the Stewart undecorated F7s a while back because I decided I was going to start accumulating all the stuff for that whole project, which is going to be a major one. And I thought I ordered 2 of the hardwire versions. Well, one of them was this, and this is just a PMP8, still a Tsunami 2, full feature, just the PMP8 board format. And originally I was going to, like, okay, I'll save it for something else because I want to use just, if I'm going to go with that in one, I want to go with hardwired in the other. And since the A unit is going to get sound, because I'm literally going to need all the functions because all the line I'm going to cram into this sucker. And the B unit doesn't need as many, it'll get the motor chip. So, yeah, I had that and I was like, well, okay, I was originally going to get one of my motor chips out of their engine and stick it in this, since their engine is pretty much DOA until I can find a SD Fit Pro 2000 SD50 rear truck for it. So I was like, well, I'll throw it in there, and I started looking. It's like, gee, this has the slots. These things should fit on Kato. Why don't I just throw this thing on here? Because it's a 567. This is a Jeep 7, so it would have a 567 prime mover in. So I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. So both of these, I've got the motor and the pickup leads attached, and this one's had the same lubrication check over with the oil and the grease mix. And then I had both these out at Redstone at the club a while back and just ran a lot. Probably need to do that a couple more times, because it's going to take a while for the grease and the oil to really truly make its way through all the gears and, you know, get mixed up and spread evenly and everything. But this does run a lot better. I do need to put in underset shank on one end, so for the time being I just slapped the whisker. I think it's the front end on this. I don't remember which. He didn't put front on here, which I'm glad he didn't, because the Hawking is in Ohio, so I'm going to set it up to run Longhead Ford. So it'll kind of reflect like the prototype in the general practice is the real ones in that area, and, you know, just part of giving it the realism and everything. So that's that. And by the way, this is shell for the Mahano. This actually is the Hawking. The paint scheme, I came out with the Hawking minus the fact that there's not gray on the frame. Yes, there's paint bleed. That's probably because I sprayed it a little too close with the testers trying to get in all the corners. It actually was a CSX Gray Ghost. That's why there's some gray around the windows. So there's a fair amount of touch-up work to do with a brush. Okay. I'm wondering if maybe I should have airbrushed it instead. Go figure. But that's what's going on with that. As far as video content for the channel goes, I was just up at Eagle Point for the line train meet. Didn't get as much good footage as last time, neither did Will. So probably be a little bit shorter video this time. That will come out eventually. We've got not Turkey Creek, that was a group from Kansas, the Still City NMRA division that's having their annual October show down in Birmingham. So that's coming up here in a couple months and whatnot. And then I might be making it back up to Dunlap for a couple other things. So we got all that going on. And we got some more stuff in the works with G-Skull out at NARM. And the module I'm doing for Mike. And plywood for a couple of club modules, which clips of that will come in time, probably on the next video. The other thing I will mention on this update is, due to circumstances which are mainly the fact that I'm running around doing all this other stuff, I am officially, as of this update, bumping my updates to 2-month instead of 1-month intervals. And that's not necessarily because I don't want to do it at 1 month. It's because at this point, like, I'm using up what I have, because I'm really not buying anything I buy for the layout. I'm focusing on the lighting. But the other reason, which I mentioned a second ago, really is just completely the time factor. I got all this other stuff running around, so it's when I was back in Missouri, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm down in the basement pretty much every evening. So by the time a month rolls around, yeah, I had enough stuff going on there. I probably could have done 2 updates a month and I would have had enough content for it. Here, if I was in here a lot more often, I'd have enough content to fill up a month. But as it is, it takes me 2 months to get 1 month's worth of content finished. So it's like, okay, I could do a video every month and be kind of be like, like half the content in it. And it's not worth it, and it's not as good as a video for you guys at that point either. So that's why. Which that's a good thing, because half the time that I'm not spending on my layout, I'm spending working on other people's layouts up at Nolan's and everything. So it's for a good reason. It's just still, I'm getting stuff done at half the rate. Now, I will caveat that with a very huge shout out, thank you to Will, because if it wasn't for him coming over every other Sunday, I wouldn't even have half of the progress that I've got done. So, all this stuff, all you see here, I definitely wouldn't have any of this up. Probably wouldn't have had it up for another half a year. And I wouldn't be where I am with all this. So half the stuff in here he's done. So it's gone at double the pace it would have, because he's been helping me. If he hadn't been helping me, I don't think I would have been halfway where I am now. I might have even been just a third. I probably have been closer to just a third. So huge shout out to him. Obviously, that all the other people who helped me, Rich and Bryson, but yes, a bigger thank you to Will, because he is over here pretty much every other Sunday. And with the exception of having to miss 2 or 3 times because of extenuant circumstances, he and I have been at it every other Sunday. And also, other reason, a huge thank you to him is because if you've watched his channel, he's a very big fan person. So the thing he's done that's helped me out a lot is, you probably can't see it, but the fan sitting in there, like this whole cabinet, we're getting ready to lay out the buck converters in here for the Arduino, because like I said, I'm going to have that stuff ordered in a couple weeks, about a month. So here, the next session, we're going to get the plywood for that and everything. Well, he had a giant stock of fans, he just gave them to me, and he set up a whole pattern, a whole airflow pattern through this whole thing, the circulation, vertical, horizontal, all of it, and figured out how to wire it up. And he basically said, here's a diagram, wire it this way, and I wired it that way. So he's come up with all that stuff, and it's worked out great. So yeah, he's been a great help on that, so thank you. A little extra thank you for that whole part. So, in my usual long-winded manner, that's what's with the updates taking 2 months. Well, that's what with me moving the updates to 2 months instead of 1 month. So, and of course, I forget something last minute, but the door is off the closet, which is fantastic, because if I take my, this is 22, yeah. If I take my handy dandy 22 radius cardboard template and try and get this somewhat lined up. Okay, well, bear with me, folks. The total depth is that, and that's only about 16 inches, so the distance I'm going to have from the 22 out to there is actually very critical. From the beginning, I built all this assuming I would be able to take those doors off to give some So like here, I'm standing here, that edge is here, this edge is here, my arm hangs there. So you kind of get what I'm alluding at. So yeah, I built all this with the assumption that I would have this corner, and as you can kind of see, that corner for people to pass each other without having to squeeze past each other. So in other words, I basically built all this assuming those two I would have these two corners be at 3 foot, which they are going to be. So, and that is the very critical part in here, is having these two as passing areas, if you will. So yeah, I'm pretty happy we could get that off. So that is rather nice to know. The plan I started conceiving 2 years ago, before we moved, and it's taken a year and a half to get to this point. I did it all kind of fingers crossed. Okay, is this one detail going to hold out? And looks like it is actually going to work. So that's pretty cool. And might I say, this just looks so much. This is just kind of wow with the backdrop up. The amount that this makes this look like a professional, a real layout, a professional master modeler. This looks so much better with you going through a scene once, and the spacing and everything, being able to get back in here and not seeing on the other side, because looking at it right now, you're basically seeing, okay, more or less, right there, you're basically seeing what you're going to see when you're operating it. So you can see it in the camera, but actually my eye level, yeah, if I get it up here, so okay, it's high enough you can see over and see the door, but normally when you're down here, you can't see it. So this, I just had to point it out because that looks, and then you imagine it with the branch line here. This just makes it look so much more professional. And then you can imagine with it down the other side. So, and then the valence, with the valence curved and everything, and you got the curve there, the curve down there, and then the facial curve too. That yeah. That just, man, that just looks so good. Okay, anyways, that's pretty much going to do it for this update. So recap, progress on a lot of fronts, and importantly, updates are now going to be every 2 months. Not every month, every 2 months. So the next one will be in October, and then it'll be in December, and then February, so on and so forth. But yeah, so anyways, hope you guys enjoy this closing clip. As always, you know, drill, comment, like, subscribe, click that bell icon, because of the YouTube algorithm. So, you know, more modelers can see the videos, and you guys can see them more, and you actually get notified when they come up. You know, click the bell icon and stuff. Anyways, you know, drill, people, all that stuff. As always, take care. God bless. Enjoy the closing clip I'm going to throw on here. And yeah, I'll see y'all on the next update. Thanks for watching. So I'll wrap this layout update up with one more side bit before we close it down. But I'll show you, we dropped by Home Depot, got these for $3.78 for a 2x4 blade, believe it or not. Prices, at least in my area, have actually come down. Plywood was down to $40, and that's 3/4 inch 5 ply. So anyways, over here, and I got the floor plates cut to length, all 3 sides. So we've got enough between the stack over there and here that we can basically frame out all 3 walls over here, plus the top plate. So that's that half of the baggage car, and then probably get some 1x4s for the support structure where it comes out. And then we'll be able to get the modules in here and lay them on the on the support structure. So, all right, like I said, I think that'll do it for this layout update. As always, thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and everybody take care. God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.